Good day, students. Today we will be studying final accounts of banking companies. Banking companies are regulated by the Banking Regulation Act 1949, and as per the Act, banking company means any company which transacts the business of banking in India. I would like to take you through to the section in the Act which guides the final accounts of banking companies. Section 29 of the Act says that the balance sheet and the profit and loss account shall be prepared as on the last working day of the accounting year in the forms set out in the third schedule. Now let us study the main functions of bank. There are two main functions of the bank: accepting deposits and lending money. When the bank accepts deposits, it pays interest to the customers, and when the bank lends money to the customers, it earns interest. I will repeat. जब बैंक डिपॉजिट्स एक्सेप्ट करता है तो बैंक कस्टमर को इंटरेस्ट पे करना पड़ता है, एंड जब बैंक मनी लेंड करता है तो फिर कस्टमर बैंक को इंटरेस्ट पे करता है. So one is interest earned and this one is interest expended. Now the final accounts of banking companies has two forms. One is Form A that has been prescribed like we just saw from the Act. Form A has been prescribed for balance sheet and Form B has been prescribed for the profit and loss account. Now we will study Form B, the profit and loss account. Profit and loss account for the year ended 31st March, whatever is the year, right? Then we have the particulars column, the schedule number, which is very important. Then the current year column and the previous year figures. Now why do we have two columns? We have two columns so that we can make comparison between current year's amounts and the previous year's amount. The readers of the financial statement can make various analysis by comparing the two figures, but from your exam point of view, the data given will be of the current year. So even if you don't draw this, it is all right. Let us start with the various schedules. First is the income section. In the income section, there are two schedules: interest earned, which is given in schedule number 13, and other income, which is given in schedule number 14. We will discuss this in detail after discussing the whole format. Let us now go to the expenditure side. The second part is expenditure, which is again divided into three subparts. First is interest expended, that is interest expenditure, which is given in schedule 15. Next is operating expenses, that means the day-to-day expenses of the bank, which is given in schedule 16. Then we have provisions and contingencies, and this, remember, does not have a schedule number. So there are basically four schedule number that you have to remember: schedule number 13, schedule number 14, schedule number 15, and schedule number 16. As you can see that after schedule number 13 and 14, you have to write the total of schedule 13 and 14. I have named it as A. Similarly, you have to add the 15, 16 and the provisions and contingencies, and you have to write the total of that as B. Then coming to the third part, which is profit or loss. Net profit or loss for the year, that is current year. Then we have profit or loss brought forward, that is given in the question usually, that is preceding year. It is not necessary that they give it, but mostly they will provide you past year's profit or loss, which has to be written here. Then we do a total of the profit, the current year profit and the past year profit, and we write it as the total in the C. The fourth heading of the profit and loss account is appropriations. Transfer to statutory reserve. Statutory reserve means it is a mandatory thing which is written in the statute. Statute means law. So according to the Banking Regulation Act 1949, a certain percentage of your current year's profit have to be transferred to the statutory reserve. As of now, the minimum requirement is 25%. So even if the question is silent, even if the question does not say anything, you will transfer 25% to the statutory reserve. Next is transfer to other reserves. So if the question tells you that you have to transfer say 5% to a special reserve that is created, you will write it here, transfer to any other reserve. Then we have transfer to government or proposed dividend. So if the bank has proposed a dividend, you will write that amount over here. And last is balance carried over to the balance sheet. So whatever amount is here will go in the second schedule of the balance sheet of the banking company. Again, you will write the total of all the four and you will give it the letter D. Now it is important to know that whatever amount you have in C has to be always equal to D. So both these amounts always have to be same. We will now study the schedules. The first schedule that we are going to study is schedule number 13, that is interest earned. Now whenever the bank gives loan or OD facility to the customers, it earns interest. Besides this, when the bank gives the bill discounting facility, it earns income in the form of discount, or it is also called as interest. So the first you will write is interest or discount on advances, that is the loans given to the customer or the OD facility given to the customer, or on the bill discounting facility, the bank will earn interest. Next is interest on income of investment. Bank also has various investments in government securities, bonds or debentures. So interest income earned from such investments has to be written here. Next is interest on balance with RBI. As we know that banks are required to keep a certain balance with the RBI. So interest on that balance has to be written here. Last is others. So whatever interest income does not fall under these categories, which is residual interest, will come in this category. So whatever doesn't come in these categories will come in the last category. Next we have schedule 14, that is other income. So besides interest, all other income, मतलब interest के अलावा बाकी सारे income will come under schedule 14, that is other income. Commission, exchange, brokerage. The bank gives various facility to other institutes, and that is why it earns commission, exchange or brokerage income. Next is profit on sale of investment. So whenever the bank sells its investment, it is possible that it earns profits. And if it earns a loss, then you have to deduct that. You have to deduct that from this profit. So you will write profit on sale of investments, deduct the loss on sale of investments. Next, we have profit on sale of assets. Similarly, when the bank sells any assets, it may make profit, which has to be written in this section. And if it makes a loss, it has to deduct that from this. Next, we have profit on exchange transactions. That means foreign exchange. If there has been a profit, you will record this in the other income, and if you have loss, you will deduct it. Next, we have income earned by way of dividend. It is possible that the banking company may invest in other banking companies that may declare dividend. So here we will write dividend income. The last is miscellaneous income. Any income which does not come in the above categories will come in the miscellaneous income. Let us now come to the schedule number 15, which is interest expended. That is the interest expenditure of the bank. Interest on deposits. So whenever customers deposit amount in the bank in the form of saving deposit, fixed deposit, so the bank has to pay to the customer interest. So this is the interest paid by the bank to its customers. Next is interest on RBI or interbank borrowings. Now sometimes bank borrows money from the RBI or from other banks. So when you borrow, you have to pay interest. Similarly, when a bank borrows money from RBI or from the other banks, it has to pay interest to the RBI or to the other banks. Last is other. Any other interest which does not fall in these two categories comes in the other category. Next, we are coming to the schedule number 16, which is the easiest schedule. Operating expenses. All the day-to-day expenses of the bank come under schedule number 16. For example, payment to its employees, the salaries, rent, taxes, lighting, printing and stationery, advertising and publicity, depreciation on the property. Now let me tell you that the bank has various fixed assets, right? For example, the machinery like the computers, right? So you have to provide depreciation on all those assets. Then we have directors' fees, we have legal or the law charges, we have auditors' fees, then we have telephone expenses, repairs and maintenance, insurance, other expenses. So any expenses which are not covered in these will come under other residual expenses, and you will write a total of all these expenses. Now it is important to note that after every schedule you have to write the total, right? So for example, schedule number 15 has a total, schedule number 16 also has a total. Now these amounts have to be written in the main format of the P&L. This is the main format of the P&L. So whatever schedule in the working that you did, so whatever was the total of schedule number 13 has to be copied and pasted in this main format. So your schedules, your detailed schedules are nothing but the working notes that you prepare for completing this format. So whatever working notes that are the schedule numbers that you prepare, the total of those schedules have to be written here systematically. So you will first draw the format, then you will start explaining the schedules one by one in a systematic manner, and then you will copy the total amounts of schedule number 13, schedule number 14, schedule number 15 and 16, and thus you will complete your profit and loss. I hope that you have understood this properly, and I hope that this will help you to solve the sums that are in the past university papers, which are mainly profit and loss account. Thank you.